Together, let's embark on a scientific exploration of yoga, where you are the scientist, your heart is the laboratory, and you are the outcome.
Welcome to Meditate with Daaji. Up till now, we have learnt about heartfulness relaxation, meditation, and cleaning. We have got a practical demonstration of these practices. But are these practices enough, or are they a means to another end? Today, Daaji will explore how to integrate heartfulness into our lives. And after that, as always, we will meditate with Daaji.
Hello everyone. Let's review what has happened so far. We have learned how to relax, how to meditate well, and how to do cleaning. What is the purpose behind all these things? After every meditation, we have a typical, very peculiar condition emerging as a result. Don't we like to maintain that spiritual status or inner condition or that lightness that you felt after the meditation, or that you feel so centered within yourself that you like to continue in this state of centeredness within. Let's call it as a meditative state which has emerged out of this meditation. Is it enough that we meditate for a few minutes and enjoy that meditation? Wouldn't it be nice if it can extend beyond these 30, 40, 50 minutes of meditation? It will be wonderful if we can meditate actively daily. But to remain actively meditating versus meditatively remaining active, they are two different things. Often enthusiasts who start spiritual practices, in the beginning they love it so much. And slowly it so happens that we fall in love with such a state and we like to go on extending such a state for a longer period. Otherwise, having earned a spiritual condition and losing it right away would be like, you have your weekly or monthly salaries, and before the second day starts or third day starts, you have blown away all your salary. What will happen to such income? What will happen to such a family? In this scenario with meditative state, what will happen if you go on losing meditative state? It will be a tragedy. You have worked for nothing. So, how to ensure that the meditative state remains to our heart's desire? So recognize that your heart is desiring it, and let's make a willful intention before meditation itself. Let's become more cognizant with this fact that yes, I need to stay in touch with this inner state, and that there is a need for such a thing. So this much of awareness, this much of intention should be good enough to start with. And let's see how it mushrooms and becomes a big, giant thing later on in our life, where meditative state becomes the very nature of us in a more palpable way, see. Now, these intentions of preponing certain states are easily made possible when the inner urge or inner thirst or inner restlessness makes our heart call for something higher. If you were happy with our present state, then there is nothing to worry about. If you are content with your present state, there is nothing to worry about. Then the idea of evolution will fail. If we really want to evolve, expand the consciousness, then I have to keep my goal higher than the present one. The present condition must not satisfy me. Present richness doesn't satisfy us. Why should present spiritual state should satisfy us? So what is this inner call? When we offer this voice of the heart to a higher level of consciousness or higher source, or as some system talk about that I am now connected with my inner resources or my inner divine source or the godly agency. Somewhere, somehow we are trying to invoke the higher help. That means I am at a lower state, which is good. We did not feel inferior about it. In fact, more we feel smaller about ourselves. In front of God, better it is. Let us remind ourselves of Lord Jesus' statement that to enter the gates of heaven, one has to become very humble, insignificant, become like little children, not childish though. That sort of innocence, that sort of innocent approach in our prayer, in our inner connectedness will have to be recalled. So now, having established the goal that yes, some higher state is my goal, which of course will change every day. Once you reach a certain higher level of consciousness, that has become your normal state now. But then something higher will be pursued in smaller and subtler doses. You would crave that, yes, I must achieve that state. And after a couple of meditation, you may be able to achieve. Then what happens to that level of consciousness? It becomes normal for you. And again, something higher is inspiring you. It is like always some higher is calling us. It's like God is always calling us towards Himself. Center is yawning towards itself. Now, having fixed a certain level of goal, we start wondering, what is it that is preventing me? What can prevent me from achieving it? There are so many things in this world. The biggest stumbling block is myself. My ego, that I am so and so. Why should I need this higher state? There you go. Is there a higher state than my present state? Then you have sought yourself in the foot and say, oh, how can I achieve something higher when you don't even become cognizant of its presence because you think yourself so full of certain things? That is out of ego. Secondly, the mundane things in the world that, I had to satisfy this desire, I had to satisfy that desire. And we already talked about certain levels of impressions that we gather, samskaras we call, or karmas we call. Samskaras are nothing but the effects arising out of karmas. The other day we discussed about how samskaras are formed. Newton's law, where it says the actions and reactions are equal and opposite in direction. In the spiritual realm, let's say, for example, someone looks at you or you look at someone and you are attracted. Will the reaction be the same? At emotional level, it can create a tsunami in our heart. Just a single glance can create a tsunami of love. Or at times, certain act can create a tsunami of hatred, of anger. A simple thing becomes so mega. So inner realms don't follow the Newtonian principle. It has its own rules and principles. So samskaras are something, or the impressions are something that belongs to the past that has created my psyche, based on which I react today. If I was not exposed to a certain level of surrounding, and if I had not made up my mind in certain ways, then I would not react in that particular way. So, if my heart is clear from all kinds of impressions, then I'll be able to make a fresh, neutral, unbiased reaction to every situation. That is the purpose, the ultimate purpose of all these practices, that I become absolutely beyond these likes and dislikes, beyond these pulls and pushes of the world. I should be able to transcend myself through this inner consciousness, how I react to various situations. But the desires, unlike samskaras, play a different role. Desire is something that has to happen in the future, something I desire to have. It is playing out its part into the future by desiring it in the present. But the samskaras, or the impressions that I have formed and that has created my psyche, belongs to the past. Similarly, what I desire for the future also creates my patterns of psyche, spectrums of psyches are created in my inner realms. So we slowly realize, okay, I cannot change the past. It has already created my psyche, but slowly with this process of cleaning, I'll be able to free myself from it. But desires, which is something in my check, something in my control at the moment, to a large extent, how far should I be fueling this inner desire that can become one day the samskara? So, desire in one way you can call as the future karmas, futuristic karmas.
Now, let's all meditate with Daaji.
You all know how to meditate, and perhaps some of you do not really know how to meditate in joining us for the first time. This is how we meditate. Heartfulness way of meditation. It's very simple. Feel relaxed. Remove all the distractions if you might have. Something like phones. And focus on the presence of divine light in our heart. Think that this divine light is attracting your attention inward, and retain this thought as long as you can. If by chance you happen to move away from this noble idea, when you're overwhelmed by so many thoughts, just remind yourself that right now I am meditating on the presence of divine light. Let's all begin meditation. That's all. Please make a note of how you felt. Let's write our observations.
You have been meditating with Daaji for a few months now on Astha Bhajan channel. We would like to present a few very useful books that Daaji has authored and published, so that you can read and enhance your understanding and make your spiritual practice better with each day. The first of these books is The Heartfulness Way by Daaji and Joshua Pollack. As we maneuver the many demands of a stressful lifestyle, we often sense challenges that seem difficult to overcome on our own. How do we find the wisdom, strength, and courage to be able to keep our balance and handle inner turmoil when things spin out of control? Ensconced in India's ageless spiritual tradition, Kamlesh D. Patel, or Daaji, presents some of the most practical ways to achieve a high quality of inner life through the Heartfulness Way. This book is an illuminating series of conversations
where Daaji reveals the core principles of heartfulness practice and philosophy to Joshua Pollock, a heartfulness practitioner and trainer. We welcome you to explore the heartfulness way. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Meditate with Daaji. See you again next week.